This book starts with a man turning into an insect and ends with the truth about human relationship. Yes, I am talking about the Metamorphosis by Franz Kafka. Before I tell you more about the story, you need to know a little about Kafka himself. Kafka lived a life full of pressure, expectations, and a very complicated relationship with his father. And he always felt disconnected from the world around him. And somehow all of that shows up in his book Metamorphosis. The book follows Gregor Samsa, a hardworking salesman who one day finds himself transformed into an insect in his bed. At first, he thinks that this is a dream, but that's when he realizes it is a reality. And he is a hardworking salesman and he used to take care of his family. He is the only one earning for his family, and when he transformed, after his transformation, everything starts changing around him. At one point, even his sister, who used to serve him food, at one point she also starts pushing the food with a broom in his room. The same sister he once used to dream of sending to college, a violin college, because she used to play a very good violin. The same father he helped during a bankruptcy started seeing him as a burden and started throwing apples at him. Instead of showing compassion, a father can do that to a son. He started throwing apples at him and become a violent. But in this section we can realize that must be Kafka had this type of relationship with his father. That's why he wrote it in this book. Sometimes people love your value more than they love you. And as soon as you become useless, they don't care about you. As soon as you become useless to others, this happens. The metamorphosis is not really about a man transformed into an insect. It's just about isolation, loneliness, burden, and becoming unwanted, and so much so. A short book, but that stayed with you for your life. This is a very important lesson, and this is something that we all resonate with, right? And what I like about Kafka is that he wrote life lessons in such a way, in such a strange, unsettling, and imaginative ways. And I think that's what makes him timeless. Like, even today's generation can relate with him, and that's what makes him timeless. That's what makes him unique. And his writing is very different. You cannot imagine such a lesson in such a way that he had written in this book. Kafka is one of the greatest writers of 20th century. I just love the way this book is written, and I love Kafka. I love his writing. I wish I could go back into the time and get to know what was that trauma. Like, we get to know the trauma, the complicated relationship with father and all that, but still, if there's one of the man I would like to go and meet, then it would Kafka would be one of them. Kafka never really wanted his works to get published. After his death, he asked his close friend Max to destroy all of his manuscripts. But Max broke that promise, and that's how the world got to read some of the greatest works written. Kafka, I love Kafka's writing. I love Kafka. And if you want to start reading Kafka, then you can start with this book. In fact, this is the best work you can start with. Like, I started reading Kafka's work with this one. And yeah, a very short book, but that stays with you for your life, because it is written by Kafka. That is all. And yeah, this is my first long video. Please, if you have read this book, please share your thoughts with me, your reviews, and I would love to know them. Yeah, and if you like this video, please subscribe to this channel, and yeah, like the video. Bye bye.